We meet at the beginning of the end, and there is a song on the air. It's mournful, tired and joyful all at once. It's like the ache of muscles after a triumphant battle when the haze of violence gives way and there is only the quiet ground nourished by blood. Roslyn walks away from the ruins of her cottage that wasn't quite hers after speaking to the men who weren't quite her family, and she continues through the orchard, but there is no path before her now. Red streaks radiate out from where the she-wolf fell, like she's the epicenter of some cataclysm, and they snake through the orchard until the earth Roslyn sees in every direction is this coagulated crimson. It looks less like red stone and more like marbled meat. The fruit trees around you are enclosed in that fine silk thread, that web, an infestation that encompasses them completely. And as you walk, the strange trees grow larger, impossibly tall, denser until this orchard becomes a forest all its own. And then ahead, you see your cottage again and again. You come to a village where every home is exactly like yours, except they are choked by these infested trees. The roots just jut through walls, and then others come to buttress them. These identical homes, with all their supporting structures gone. The rotted joists cave in, but yet they are cradled delicately between the towering trees, balanced in a perfect imitation of what they were before they were torn apart by the wood. Roslyn, the wolf's pelt is heavy on your shoulders, but you feel that feline hunter's instinct, the stealth, the roar, it's buzzing beneath your skin, and there is plenty of strength to carry this weight. The question we must answer this chapter is, where is your home? And who waits for you there?
As Roslyn walks towards the edge of this village, it is not the way that she has walked to the village time and time and time again. Before, it was not to be seen, to be quiet, to be small, to avoid the glances of the women who taunted, to get the job done and to do the task at hand. Now there is a sense of ownership. This is mine. All of this is mine. I could walk into any one of these houses and claim it as mine, and there would be nothing that anyone could do about it. There is no barrier that they could put up. There is no claim they could make that would unseat the fact that I have overcome everything this wood has thrown at me and superseded it. And I remember where I came from. Right here. So I think I start walking through, and I take a peek inside the first window of the house that I see.
You look inside the window and you see what is something of a mirage. You see this sort of blurred form of your linen dress that hovers in the air. You see as the sleeves extend for the stove, another reaching out as though to block a small child from getting too close to the hearth. You see as something tugs on the hem of the gown, but it doesn't fray, it doesn't pull. All at once, this dress, this floating figure, seems to tend to everything. And then you see as it starts to unravel, first at the edge of the left sleeve, then shortly after at the right, the neckline gives way next. And the threads carry on the air. They seem to float as though they are suspended in a mist of some sort, and they start to wrap around that hearth, entwining it, knotting it, containing it, building a sort of web.
Roslyn, your eyes cast over yet another disturbing, probably metaphor-laden visage here in this accursed wood, and a thought creeps into your mind, tenderly, gingerly, unexpected, like the last air bubble coming up with a plop in a small pit of tar. Bloop. You have become bored in the moment, and what should have been a mountaintop, this personal victory on so many levels, this triumph among foes both perceived and real, should have this power that's underneath your skin rippling. This should be something, an achievement. It's the thought occurs to you, is this all there is?
It couldn't be. Why would it send me here? This must yet again be another thing for me to go through. Another test, another trial, another place for me to stake my claim on these woods. Though I don't know that this is called the Never Was. Nothing here is exactly like my house, yet it's trying to be. It's a facade. It's a sham. So I have the opportunity now to make this mine, and if I am bored, then I should probably make some of my own fun. As the web catches itself around the hearth, I remember one time when I was little. It had been a very, very warm summer, and we had never had to turn the stove on. My mother doing all of her cooking outside of an open fire outside was easier than heating up the house. There was a spider web inside the corner on the inside of the hearth. Beautiful, spindling, intricately woven. And I remember watching as the first flames caught it. Flames licked their way around each of the silk threads and gone instantly to dust. I wonder what would happen if I set this house on fire. I look around. Is there a fire going?
You don't see one, but you smell one. It's that pop of cedar that you know, maybe not quite dried enough. And it hangs on the air, that distinct scent that is you associate with cooking. It's fine wood. This is not usually burning wood. This might be something like building wood, and yet it burns anyway. It's not in this house. Not in this version of this house, but not far.
I lift my nose into the air, allowing myself to give in to the more feline nature, the scent, catching that smell, using the power of my nose, which has always been so strong, and I follow it quietly. Whatever's happening here, I don't want them to see me as I come around.
No one's outside to take stock of what you're doing. You keep to the edge of each house, making sure to obscure yourself in front of windows, underneath awnings. And as you get closer and closer and closer to the smell, you see a beautiful rippling color behind the thick panes of the last house that you arrive at. The heat coming off of it is something you wouldn't ordinarily feel as plain, ordinary Roslyn. But this new version of yourself is heightened, has all of these newfound senses. And as you approach, still not seeing a flame, you realize the fire is inside the house. When you press your fingers to the glass, it's hot. And through the smoke inside, you see yourself. Not quite you, but also not you. Hair a snarl, tangled, just devastating, bloodly, dripping all over your fingers, the front of your smock. There's bodies on the floor. You can't quite make them out, but rising behind you is the fire that you so crave, licking up the mantle, catching the art on the walls, rolling over the dining room table. Your face rises to meet your own.
I think there's a part of Roslyn that finds this visage now almost insulting. If this forest is trying to show me a past, weaker version of myself, then what was the goal of that? What is the purpose now? That is not who I am anymore. I don't know if that's who I ever was.
And yet, it smells so delicious.
It does. I go to the door, and it's not locked. I press the handle gently, and I push it open, standing at the threshold. Is there anything else that I see inside?
You press open the door, and it's the young Mr. Benson on the other side. He stands over the gore in front of this snarled version of himself and says, "Roslyn, honey, you're home."
What do you want?
What do I want? Well, I was hoping you'd help with the dinner.
And who's that?
Who's who?
I point past his shoulder.
There's nobody there.
Roslyn, come on. I was hunting earlier. I got a good kill. I know you're always better at skinning than I am. Come help.
You've never thought of this way of any man before, but you want his skin instead. You watch, smell a slight sniff of his hair as he walks past you, going into this so-called home. And he smells delicious.
I was thinking about a stew.
A stew?
Darling.
Oh. Yes, we could use the beets.
No need.
Oh.
Just meat.
a rich stew.
Only the best.
Of course, of course.
I brush past him. If this is my house, then I will claim it as my house.
Roslyn, where are you? And you hear the door behind you latch shut. He's not near it, but you hear the slide of a deadbolt anyway. The latch of a chain. Roslyn.
Yes.
Here, could you help me carry this? And he passes through you and walks out the back door.
I walk over to the kitchen and I find my knife. For appearances. I won't use it. I have no need to. That's what the claws are for now. But I find my knife. And to play along, I wash my hands. I take the time to make sure they're clean. I'm still naked. No clothing. No apron. But I follow him.
You walk out the back door, and instead of leading to a yard, it leads to the same room. Again.
Is that all there is?
Oh. Where is he in the room?
He's behind you now. You don't see him, but something in you knows now. Something in you seems to know where the living things are near you. Something primordial understands that. And so you feel his presence behind you. You hear the subtle shift of the cloth of his shirt as he moves. And you hear the rustle of the trees above you as well.
I am not going to play the same games that Micah made me play. I've no time for that now. My claws unfurl. I turn around. And as I go to drape my hands over his shoulders, as could otherwise be interpreted as a tender moment between a married couple, I dig two of my claws directly into his neck.
The blood comes much faster than you'd imagined. It's pouring thick and unctuous under your fingernails, over your hands, down your wrists. This is so different than it's been before. The smell is potent. It lights up your senses. You start to growl. You don't realize you're doing it until the sound rises into your ears. It muffles the screams that are slowly dying from his throat and his lips as he leans and sinks against you. His head lolls back, and you can see all of the exposed viscera. There's vines where his veins should be.
The dream is thick, and it feels righteous and delicious, and for a snap second, everything is different. You're in a cold house with a dim hearth, standing over the same man. The blood is still everywhere, but you're in your plain dress, holding your plain knife, and you hear, just behind you, a sharp intake of breath, a child's something, and the hair on your neck stands up as you realize you've been seen. This is impossible, and suddenly you're back. standing in the hot red room over the hot red man oozing hot red life. What was that? That couldn't have been anything.
His head is craned back at an impossible angle. Where the blood and the vines meet, it becomes like a red clay soil pouring out of him. His head cranes back and his hair is a snarl. And he says, "Roslyn, are you making the stew?"
Yes, darling.
Wonderful. It will be such a rich broth.
Yes, you will.
Wonderful. And when he speaks, flowers fall from his lips.
I hold the back of his head, cradling it, and I pluck the flowers from his mouth. 1, 2, 3. And I begin to arrange them in my hair. Tokens. The first of many. And I let his body drop to the floor. I turn around, surveying the rest of the room. And I go to try the door.
You get that same sensation of a presence. And from that vision, that brief glimpse you had of this older reality, you remember the point. It's the same. But you'd look and there's no child there. There's a chipmunk. Small, has a curled tail, holds its little paws together and watches you. The door is unlocked. You press the handle and it gives.
I pull the door open. And I step outside.
You step outside into your village town center, exactly as you left it.
There is no heat at your back. There is no hot blood on your hands. There is cold wind on your face. There are stunned expressions peeking out at you from other windows, from near the well, from down the lane, just for a moment. And then the heat is back. The blood is warm. The night is welcoming.
As you walk past, all of the voices, all of the townswomen, future suitors, those sorts of people, you still can't shake the smell, almost as if this entire town were its own stew. Everyone sounds, you hear the words that they are saying, this language of prey before, but they also sound like clucking hens, ducks, delicious bleating sheep. There's a quality to it that you just can't shake, and it just makes you smile.
Up ahead, in this town halfway between reality and that overgrowth of wood, you hear a song, a hymn. Time has moved strangely here in fits and starts. It's been night for as long as you can remember, and yet now you see to the east the gentle glow, the beginning of a sunrise. And it sounds like church has started early.
I always did like church. I like less of the messaging, but more of the ability for people to come together, to share space, spend time in good company. Good company. I think I start humming along They're singing my favorite one. And I start walking towards the church.
Several hundred yards away, in a very real village, a very real pastor's son rings the church bell, the look on his face stricken with terror as the remaining villagers flee into the church. "Hurry," he says, and looks back the 100 yards down the lane at the abomination walking slowly, dreamily, happily towards the church. There isn't much time.
It's an amble. They'll wait for me. I think I smell the fear, though it's not here. And I wonder why people are afraid at church. What could have got them so afraid? Is it the empty promises of the man standing in front of them? Is it their pockets that also lay empty when they pour everything they've earned into the collection plate? Is it the sound of promises being broken? Because while there may be a God, he doesn't care. And he has no power here. Not in my woods. Not in my village. And I keep walking.
As you get closer, you smell the smoky scent of incense wafting from the church windows, an attempt to ward off evil spirits and bad blood. But drifting over that beautiful and exotic scent is something a little bit sweeter. You realize that you've found the heart of the fear. It smells like church wine and that balm that they use to christen babies. And you realize that that's the pastor. The pastor's son. Their fear is at the heart, the top note and the base note of this fragrance that's coming your way. Their fear leads the others. That smell of the sheep, far beneath that of the shepherd. And as your foot hits the very first step of the church and the doors swing open before you, you see the purveyor of those lies, that catastrophe of misinformation, constantly using that fear to keep people in line. You are the sheep that's gotten away. The flock hasn't really missed you. But they all turn to meet your gaze as best they can, taking you in. Some of the young women, their smell starts to change. You can feel it shifting. Something in your blood calls to some of them. Their eyes narrow at the men and the people around them. And as you look at each of their faces, a softness is there that was never there before.
You awaken a new hunger in these women. And Roslyn, you walk into this church knowing you are God.
At the edge of the wood, a small shadow turns to two larger shadows and says, "See, it wasn't that hard."
Do you think this is the end of it, little rabbit?
I guess we'll wait and see. What do you think, Mr. Fox?
I don't know. I mean, I feel like we did the best job we could. We served her, and we helped her, and we scared her, and now, well, now she's scary.
Mm-hmm.
Mind your tongue, little animals. You may have served.
Yes, Mother, I didn't mean anything by it. I mean, that you shared.
I will accept that we have imparted certain lessons, but there is always much to be seen, much to be taught. There is still more we can do.
In the distance, a shattering of glass occurs as a pew makes its way out and a desperate villager's hand begins to try to pull themselves free of the side of the building. The first of the screams meet whatever it is that is pretending to be ears on our little bodies.
From far, you hear Roslyn's roar and the screams of the young women. And you understand why people mistake the mountain lion for a woman screaming in the wood. They layer on each other in a choir unlike any. This is not a choir of worship, but a choir of liberation, a choir of violence and gore where reverence once laid. Instead of this resonance of the halls, instead you have the shattered windows and the sound that should bounce back, that should reach back and contain its congregation, that should hold them in place, spills out into the wood and catches on the wind, and it forms small moths as it moves about, and the moths settle in the trees, and they begin to weave their little webworm web.
Roslyn does not lay a finger on any of the young women. Not at all. She's deliberate, slow, exacting. Attention is paid to detail, and it's vicious. I think there's one young woman that Roslyn approaches slowly, padding towards her. Alternating, I think, between walking upright and all fours, depending on what serves her best in that moment. And I think my paws, my claws, my hands pull myself up over the pew to make eye contact with her. And I look her square in the eye.
She stares back at you and her eyes are wide. You can see the whites above and below the iris. There is something transfixed and feral there. They shake and the pupils are pinpoints. And she opens her mouth, something between a smile and a snarl, and there is blood between her teeth.
Good.
Good.
Claim your space.
It's all my space.
Yes. Remember where you came from.
Where did you come from?
I don't know where I came from.
Are you from here or elsewhere?
I'm from... And she starts to choke. And she opens her mouth. And some white moths fly out. Here. No, but before.
Be careful of what you remember.
As the moth flies out of her mouth, I have it land on my finger.
It starts to sink its feet into your finger. Just pressing into the flesh, not quite breaking skin.
I look her in the eye and I say, watch. And I take my fingers and I squeeze it.
Her eyes are wild as she watches you. Rapt attention, She doesn't flinch when you squish the moth between your fingers, your claws making a hole before pulverizing it, the fine dust of its wings all over your fingertips. You run them down your face, adding to the gore that's there, a beautiful white interruption of the curtain of blood. She looks down. Her hands are full. It appears to be her cousin, her brother. You don't know her, but you feel like you understand what she's trying to tell you wordlessly in this moment. Her fingers are deep within his face, pinkies hooked into the mouth, pulling his face into a rictus grin as the index fingers threaten to go deeper than just the surface level of the thin skin of the eyelids there. The man whimpers, his hands clawing at nothing. He seems to be begging. "I'm sorry. I won't do it again. It was just the one time. It was just the one time." She's transfixed, does not look away from you. Her eyes a silent plea, a request for permission, as she presses a little bit harder, the nails sharp as knives.
You need no one's permission but your own. I place my hands supporting this young woman's elbows.
You feel her hands tremble. Even as this fury courses through her, you can't tell if it's adrenaline or anger or fear, but you think it might be all of the above.
Breathe in and smell it. That is the smell of prey.
Oh. I was taught it's important to share what we hunt.
I would be delighted, honored to share this with you. Go ahead.
And she sinks her fingers right into his skull.
I'm gonna say, well, I think this is additive, so I don't know if this is a no but her fingers become claw-like talons and dig deeper inside.
And no, but though that feels like what is happening to both you and this new witness to whatever is happening here, in a sad church in the middle of the night, strewn with corpses, you stand with your small, formerly weak fingers deep in an old acquaintance's skull, your thumbs deep in his eye sockets, your pinkies hooked into his cheeks, and a cold wind blows outside as autumn gives up and ends, the first tinklings of winter alight on the wind. Tinklings?
It's good.
It is tinkling because the trees around you, it seems that when the wind comes and they rustle, it's like there are small bells in the branches. These strange webs contain them in there, and it's something akin to a celebration. Back in the scene, the girl sinks her hands in, her talons, her claws, into the man, with yours wrapped around them, a mentor, a protector. And when she pulls them out, flowers and moths fall out, and they wrap around you as well, creating more of these threads, and on them, small little bells begin to jingle as the first snowflakes fall. They catch on the grass, and that grass still seems to whisper.
The wolf speaks to the fox and the rabbit again, watching all of this happen, despite on the perimeter there is still this extra sense that we see everything going on in the church, that we see this feast, this revelry one-sided. The wolf looking over like, unfortunately, an unimpressed mother figure. But she must face a consequence. There is no good thing without a consequence.
Consequences, yes. Soon. Soon.
I mean, we have pretty much forever, right? I mean, you said we would have, another. And she has claws like us, and she is running wild like us, and she's on her way to being feral like us. Shouldn't we just, I don't know, give her a chance? The fox's eyes are darting back and forth between the two of you, clearly not wanting to upset anyone.
I slam a giant paw on top of you so that I'm sort of crushing your chest down into the dirt, and I look towards the rabbit as well, as if to learn a lesson. And she must fail, as we all have. We have all gone through the things that make us doubt who we are, what we provide, what we can do. I lift my paw from your ribs. Yes, she is becoming feral, but that compassion, that peace that grounds her to people, to man. She must get rid of all of them.
The snowflakes find their way even to these non-corporeal shapes. And the rabbit, sniffing the air with its delicate nose, says, "Winter. There's not much time. Not much time at all now. We must hurry."
Back inside the church, your hand holds a chalice, filling with the thick and steady continuous pour of blood from this man's body. It oozes out of his orifices and runs into the cup, filling it quickly as you sense the presence of others around you. As you turn and look around the room, there's a young woman standing by the door, still open from where Micah bust through, watching as the people flee into the night, turning back to you with a questioning in her face. Should I run? Should I go? Should I chase? Other women come. They form a circle around you, and they look hungrily down at the chalice and back up at yourself.
Bring the chalice up into my hands, turning once around in the circle, meeting eyes with each and every one of them. And I think there's a moment where Roslyn remembers and realizes that this is the closest thing she's ever had to a group of friends. She never had the time or the courage to hold space with other young women because there was just too much to do. And that means something, to have these women stand here and not run, that they look to her and are mostly not afraid.
The women start to approach you. They don't seem to look to each other. They don't seem to communicate, but they just seem to move closer. And as the sun crawls up the sky, it catches in the eastward window that bit of stained glass, the last one that hasn't shattered, and it streaks you in color, all red and gold. They gravitate towards you, and that light hits your skin, and it's warm and gentle and soft as a kitten. You've been in night so long. It's lovely to feel the sun.
But where the light bends, the natural weather patterns of this world around it still has its own rhyme and reason. The young woman still standing outside of this circle, a pious, gentle, boring one that maybe you remember, maybe you don't. As the snow begins to cover the back of her onto her, creating this white, familiar, furry, like skin, an antenna growing from her blonde hair. Finally, she speaks. And sisters, what of Satan? What of temptation? Do you not see that all of you are haloed in something unnatural, unholy, hot? The world is in winter. It is dying. And all of you are reveling in this. Doubt, regret comes sinking, pouring into the bones of some of the women all around you, despite the fact they are so close, lips almost touching the chalice as they await for your lips to touch the blood first. All of them look up at you. The snow beginning to hit some of the top of their heads. Doubt.
Roslyn looks to the woman at the door and back again to the small circle that has formed around her. And locking eyes with this moth in the snow, lifts the chalice to her lips and drinks, letting the blood run down her chin, run down her face, onto her chest and décolleté and down. It drips, it's hot, it's sweet. And she looks, and as she speaks to all of them, but really is directly addressing the one at the door. Doubt is the tool of man. Doubt is a tool for someone who is not self-assured enough to make their own decisions. You all here have the power of choice. Yours to make, not mine. If you choose to go, then go. If you choose to fight, then fight. If you choose to stay, then drink and stay.
You almost believe it yourself.
The hands of the young woman are still cradling that body on the floor. She's transfixed. And she looks up at you, pulls forward, and she tries to bring it with her.
Let it go.
And her fingers are stained. They're pink, like beet juice. And she goes, Are you the god here then?
It would be easy to say yes. But the god doesn't just sit in me. The god is not one thing. The act you do here feels divine. Are you not then a god as well?
The blood is sacrosanct. It's in the blood.
Then drink.
I think I will. And she turns and pounces on the woman next to her. Her new claws lashing out against the other woman's face.
I don't stop her.
The woman steadily, fervently turning into this winter moth, this creature. As she sobs, looking at all of the gore that is newly invited, the gore that you are not stopping, she sinks to her knees, although her dress is beginning to become part of her body. The fur, wings beginning to bloom from the petticoat. And this is what you invite. And this is what you allow.
Try as you might, the hate, the ire, the distraction, the boredom with this moth, you can't do anything about her. You can't direct the others to harm her. She is other, and you hate that.
I might hate her for that. But I don't hate her entirely. I remember what it is like to be other. I remember what it is like to say what I believe loudly amongst a room of people who could believe the complete opposite and would drown out my voice. She is the only one loudly voicing her opinion otherwise. So I will not stop her for that. I don't have to agree with her. I turn to another woman behind me, and I offer the chalice to her as well.
She looks at you, her eyes lingering first on your hair, going down your eyes, your nose, your lips. Small chin yielding into a slender, elegant neck, bared shoulders, bared breasts. They stop there for a moment, a look of confusion across her face as she moves lower, and a blush rises to her cheeks as she reaches the space that she never thought to look at another woman.
Impropriety.
She looks back up at you and takes the chalice, desire behind her eyes.
I take a step closer to her, and I hold the chalice in my hands and tip it gently up to her lips. And I watch her drink, allowing her extra time and space to honor her, in allowing herself a desire that wasn't sanctioned by another man. A desire that's just hers.
But she watches you the whole time.
And I think there's enough of Roslyn left that she blushes a little as well.
10 years pass.
Where are we going?
I'm here for it. I'm here to roll with it. Yeah, let's go for it.
Okay.
Someone could technically contradict that with a no, but
I mean, I could.
you're the only one who can.
Okay. No, but a little. Okay. Here's a token. The trees overgrow to the point where those last windows, that last beautiful beam of stained glass is shattered and it crashes at your feet. The red tones of the beautiful leaded glass are mixed with the gore and they all look like blades on the ground. And then the trees continue to grow, pulling at the walls of the church the way that it did those other buildings you saw before, taking it down and replacing it with these woodland features. And as the walls pull away, you realize things are not as you left them. It is almost winter, and yet not that winter. The houses that were outside have begun to rot with decay. You can see the seams of them, the white rot that seems to permeate through them. You see that the grass that had been shorn low by the goats that spend in the space has overgrown, taken up, and that the people around you, when you look back at their faces, seem to have aged as well. Time has passed in fits and starts, but never a start like this. Time has jolted forwards.
I look down at my body. Has it aged too?
You are still as young and as fresh as a flower. Your body is exactly what you expect. And as you take yourself in and you look around, you feel a presence over your shoulder. Your eyes fall upon 3 feminine figures. Bodies that look not unlike yours, but long, sharp claws, maws with too many teeth, eyes wide and feral. They're crouched low, looking around for something to kill, something to squash, something to waste into nothingness. They have pelts all over them. It's hard to make out whether or not it's something that's growing from them or something they've covered themselves in. They're wild. A wilderness that you've only dreamt of, that you've only entertained. Yet there is a familiarity there that you are one of them.
I whistle to them to catch their attention.
Eyes snap up immediately. They don't speak, but you can understand them all the same.
Are you hungry? Are you wanting of food? Or are you wanting of a kill? Because I can provide you with both.
And you see, as the 3 women smile, their teeth are sharp. You see that they are not emaciated or starved. They are well fed. And yet, there is something in the way that their muscles tense, that they rear back, that they start to load up for a pounce, that you understand that for some people, the hunt does not end with the meal. The hunt continues and continues.
In that moment, I think about my basket. I think about the basket that I had laid all my first kill, my mushrooms, my knife. And I know that because this forest is mine, if I want something here, it will be there. I turn around, and my basket is on the ground behind me. I walk to my basket, and I pull out the rabbit. I smell it. It smells like not rotten meat, but sandalwood and parchment, fresh ink, and holy water. It smells like mica.
It twitches.
I broke its neck once. I don't have the designs to do it again. I turn and I throw it to the three. To whet your appetite, there is someone in those woods who smells like this. He is a good kill.
The rabbit lands on its feet and begins to run.
Run, rabbit, run.
Not too far away, in the dark, in a cart drawn by a sickly mule, a terrified and blood-stained young man takes those he could rescue and ushers them quietly into the open maw of the woods. He is fairly certain they are far enough away. Fairly certain.
He is wrong.
We see that open maw, that canopy that it creates as Micah ushers them from the village into this dark portal. And he disappears into that darkness, but us on the outside, we see the set of glowing eyes that stare back from that darkness.
And a small shape running alongside the cart. It's fleet and white, darting in and out of the snow.
I look to the women. What are you waiting for? Go.
In the depths of the forest, under crackling branches, we hear, well, I mean, she's got a pack. We have a pack. We could maybe invite her to join our pack. It would be nice to not have to, do this alone. I think, if I may be so bold, that, if this kill goes down without any problems, maybe she's changed enough.
Unwavering, the massive she-wolf looks off into the sky, looking off into the stars and the many changed stories of the constellations. No.
Okay. I kind of like it when they bleed, so can I get a little closer to watch?
Supervise if you want to. But just know it will not be enough.
Yes, Mother. The fox shakes the fur, getting all the snow out as it darts through the underbrush. It knows not to come too close, but all it's really looking for is a vantage point. It watches as the young man's eyes dart around, uncertain, unsure, trying to give off an air of masculine assuredness as the others look at him with little to no confidence.
And as the fox stakes out her point to watch, she hears something behind her, a rustle in the grass, a whisper. It says, "What are you doing? You're not a real predator. Of course you could never do this."
Shh, I'm trying to do something right now. I am more than capable, and I'm not the one who needs to prove myself. So,
Are you sure about that?
the fox paces back and forth, stepping in her own footprints.
The long grass starts to wind around your paws as you do, starting to cling, and those steps become harder to move. The ground becomes softer. The brush becomes thicker.
I won't disturb anyone. I wasn't going to warn her. I wasn't going to interfere. It's just been the three of us for so long, and can't I have a new friend?
We have one now, you hear from the thicket, as struggling as though caught in a trap, sticky in the new web that's formed from silken strands and awful lichen and terrible moss. The rabbit twitches, horrified, its legs at odd angles looking at you in the brush, seeing something that looks very much like a rabbit dart past after the cart. And it looks at you for the first time in what must be strange millennia. That's not us.
Those aren't your friends.
Do I hear the voice in the wood?
You hear a voice in the wood. You hear from the other part of the forest. You hear something saying, "Well, little one, you have hunt bigger game than you ever dreamed of. You have bitten off more than you can chew. You are not able to continue. You cannot lead this flock. And these women, these predators who look at you with their claws and their fangs, they know how little you are."
Roslyn smiles. Because she, I think for one of the first times, is not afraid of this voice, but is curious. She's curious why the voice needles and pokes. She's curious what the voice is so afraid of. Does it feel threatened? It should. And she looks to the group of women that surround her. How many are there? Are they still there?
Of the churchgoers or the predator women?
Yeah, the churchgoers.
You turn back to the churchgoers and you see that there are some who have become fully animalistic, some who have taken on, move on all fours and approach you, but there are others who have become tangled in the webs of silk. It wraps around them, over their skin, over their faces, something between a wedding veil and a funeral shroud, and they reach for you.
I cut them free. I take a moment, knowing that if the voice in that wood really wants to speak to me so bad, it will wait. And I think I take a point of note from the she-wolf. If you're going to go make a challenge, come with an entourage. I take the time, removing the silk, removing the webbing, and making sure each of them feel ready as they need to. And I stand before all of them. And I look back at them. I am going into the wood, deeper, to a dark place that you may never have been before. It is your choice to come or not. I would never make you do anything that you do not want to do. Your power and your choice is your own. And I turn, and I begin to walk.
Back in the woods, the wolf stands alone. The rabbits run off. The fox has gone hunting, but the wolf stands. From this distance, she can see Roslyn. She can see the women behind her, before her, but she is apart and separate in a clearing far away. And the woods around her begin to rustle, the sound of small animals. Pairs of eyes blink open in the branches around her, and she hears the caw of a raven.
There are no more predators around me, smaller, of varying sizes. The trees are neutral, the branches sway no particular direction. And I huff. My breath is strong, but it is not nearly as meaty, not nearly as warm as I begin to embrace the winter. But I look up at the sky again, changing stars. Or could there be fireflies or snowflakes, things glinting? Light. Change. I speak out into the air. You've given her passage.
I don't give anything.
And yet don't you? And yet don't you lure all of us into the forest? Bribe and tempt power.
All I do is lay a path. It is you who walks it.
Wouldn't any sad, sorry soul, some sack of worrying every day, want this greater hunter power? This path is a gold mine. It is a fruit orchard. It is laden with gifts anyone would reap.
These are not gifts. These are not treasures to be taken. These are prey to be hunted. And because you could not resist the hunt, because the prey drive accelerates your feet before your mind can catch up, because you could not bear to be in the presence of something that would challenge you, like the animals who cannot help but rise to eye contact, you ran forward right into your own web. The spider is a predator, but that does not save it when the web catches flame.
She will fail. And what then?
Of course she will. She has. She'll fail. She'll fail again, and so will you all, and we will fail all together forever. And isn't that wondrous?
And uncharacteristic. Although, to the wolf herself, there is this glint of this past. There is a woman going out into the middle of the forest with an axe, drinking, and she is screaming, destroying all around her, taking down trees, sobbing, drunk. In the wolf's form, corporeal or incorporeal, there is a small disturbance in this clearing, where trees are torn down with her giant maw. All manner of ecosystem. She just runs ablaze, destroying this little clearing, making such a small mark. Change. All because of change.
The trees snap, and their sap smells like cheap gin.
I think Roslyn smells the gin the second she crosses into the forest. However many of the women behind her, she counts 10, 12, 15.
The procession seems to grow as you advance. You remember long ago in another lifetime moving through the woods and the small creatures that followed you, that followed with curiosity on their little paws. And you look behind you now as this group of women move. They seem to claw at the ground. They seem to prowl forwards. And there is something familiar in that movement.
But they aren't hurting me. I'm hurting them, leading them. But it is their choice to be here. I walk forward, one foot in front of the other, feeling the cold of the snow under my bare feet, and it does not bother me. My body radiates heat. It melts, step after step after step. I drag my hands along the trees, every one that I pass, to lay mark on them, claim to them. One day I will walk through this entire wood and every tree will be mine. Might as well start here, where it begins.
You claw at the trees and they give a beautiful scent. It's pine, it's juniper, it's wonderful. It smells earthy and peaty, and it makes you feel like the air is fresher and crisper just with that. You start to hear behind you in the procession chittering and howling. You don't have to look back, but you know that something has overtaken these women entirely, that they move a little different, that they speak with the language. And when they speak, you understand them, but only because you have learned to understand a language that is no longer that of your prey. It is something else entirely, a language that runs through this place, that is spoken in the dewdrops, in the moss, that hangs from like the hair lichen from the tree branches that caress you as you pass, and it speaks. And you come to the clearing and you see a raven standing on a branch right at eye level, looking at you.
It felt time that we speak again.
Speak.
I would like to speak to the voice that emanates through these woods, the voice that calls, the voice that answers. I would like to speak to the voice that I think drew me here in the first place, the voice that might be mine but is definitely not. I would like audience. Please.
The raven flies forward, and then it stops the movement of its wings, but seems to hover in front of you somehow anyway. And it turns its head, and it continues to turn, and you hear the snap of the bones, and it is familiar. And you see as the gash goes through its abdomen, you remember the stone that hit it when the rabbit boy pierced its body. And you see that gash reemerge. You remember when you stabbed at its spouse, at its mate, when it flew towards you, and that gash reappears in its side as well. Its talons reach out, and you look down, and there is a rabbit in them. It is not your rabbit, but it is a rabbit. And the creature that is not quite a raven looks at you and says, "Rawr, you make many demands."
And yet here you are.
And yet here you are.
What do you want?
The raven starts to fly back, and you see that that bloodied body in its talons is actually part of it now. Something about it has grown into it, this mass. And when it alights upon a branch, it seems that the branch itself also becomes part of the bird. It extends out its wings, and those wings are leaves. And you hear around you, "Have you made the woods yours, little kitten?"
I think I'm starting to.
I think perhaps that the woods have made you theirs.
6 of one, half a dozen of the other.
The women start to circle around you. They start to come up and flank you in this clearing. They take the perimeter. They form a circle that encloses the area entirely, and they all look at you.
I turn back to the raven. They come here of their own volition.
Do they?
I'd like to hope so.
Hope.
Hope. Something I've had to hold on to, walking through these woods alone, with all those things you threw at me.
And what do you hope for, Roslyn?
That from this point onward, you are quiet and speak no more.
And the trees around you begin to shake. And the leaves shake off them, and many of those leaves take flight. They become winged, and the sound echoes impossibly in every direction, and every creature in this wood hears this deep rumble of laughter, joyless laughter. Oh, I'll be so quiet. Except the voice does not come from the forest. It comes from your mouth.
Then I will take up the charge. I've always liked the sound of my own voice.
And when you speak, it echoes through the trees. That same rustle and cackle and boom.
Roslyn has always loved winter. It is a time for growth. It is a time to await a rebirth. And for now, with autumn gone, Roslyn has the time to nest, to make this place her own, truly, without the threat of the wolf or the rabbit, without the fox, the voice that now comes from her mouth, the forest at her whim. Spring will be a time for exploration. Summer, a time to test out strength. And autumn is a time for harvest.
You make your nest, and time passes. It is in those fits and starts again. The women around you becoming strange and primal, and wonderful and terrible. And one day, you feel it. The hair on the back of your neck rises. An interloper. Something not of this place. A threat to your wood. You know the way that the villagers carry axes, that they would fell a tree, that they would over-harvest, that they would peel the moss, the way they would hunt the place dry, the way they would pull up every ecosystem, every balance, all the work, all the blood that you have used to nourish the soil. They would take it all.
But these are my woods. And to that I say, they will not. And I begin to hunt.
The question at the beginning of this chapter was, where is Roslyn's home? And who does she find there? I think Roslyn has made her own home. She continues to build it around her. And who she finds there is someone who doesn't belong. And so she takes off at a gallop.
And that's where we fade.